We're live. Let's go. We're going to get it up here. Perfect. Dude, first show of 2024.
Awesome. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, man. This is exciting. This is round 2. Is this round 2 or round 3?
Round 2.
Round 2.
If I did round 2 before, I sure as hell don't remember. So
Me
let's
either.
make this one memorable.
Yes, that's why we're drinking Gatorades now, so we can
Yes.
remember the podcast.
Absolutely.
afterwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do remember having one too many last time.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. So, Rob, thank you for doing this, man. Real quick, I'll give it a second for some people to tune in. Happy New Year,
Happy
everybody.
New Year.
Welcome to another segment of the Cash Geeks Network. Are we officially live? Yes? Okay, perfect. Awesome. So today I'm stoked to have Mr. Rob on because Rob is local, close to
Ish.
Jacksonville, right? He's in Orlando, but he's done a ton of stuff in Jacksonville. And the reason why I love Rob is because any business or almost any industry that I need help in or am curious about, I can pick up the phone, ask Rob, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know everything about that industry. I actually own a business that does something in that industry."
Right.
And
I didn't say it like that.
That's true. That's true.
I'm like, sure. What do you need? What's up?
But yeah, man. So I'll let you introduce yourself, real quick. Like, what is it that you do? And I know that's a fully loaded question with Mr. Rob Vazquez, and then we'll talk about like your favorite things to do.
I get that question a lot. And I think the better probably question is, what don't I do? And I think that, over time, anyone that's in real estate for any kind of length of time should evolve into other, aspects of it. And, for example, and I believe this part of the segment of this, the show right now is, turbulent markets, right?
Yep.
So what happens if you're a one trick pony and you're putting all your eggs in one basket? It's good to be able to diversify. So over the last 20 plus years or 20 years, I guess, no, this year makes 20 plus for me. So I've been able to evolve and just kind of continue to keep adding to my base, my foundation. I believe what's the 10,000 hour rule to be an expert in anything? 10,000 hours, you can accomplish that really easily, right? So once you become a subject matter expert in something, what do? You keep learning that one thing. Absolutely. But, curiosity should stay true to an entrepreneur's heart.
Yep.
And you should always want to keep learning. And, there's a term, I started Googling it the other day, again, here recently. There's something I heard when I was younger, and I didn't grow up through, white picket fence in a house. I grew up in Section 8 housing, and I figured my way out of poverty was to learn about what wealthy people did. And I didn't think of it as real estate. I thought learn about art and classical music and shit you don't hear in the hood, right?
Yep.
So the term that I heard when I was younger was Renaissance man. And that's something that has always intrigued me. And that's been a life goal and a passion of mine, is to always pursue being a Renaissance man. If that makes any sense.
Absolutely, dude. In fact, the reason why I know that is because I just remember like in school, like there was the Renaissance era and there was that era of just people, being exceptional human beings, right? And being kind of like jacks of all trades, but also like being exceptional at a lot of things, right? And so I don't think about it enough as I should, but that is a great way of putting it, as being a Renaissance man. Absolutely.
I think that, and I hope people start Googling this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now what may pop up is the old movie with Danny DeVito. Okay. Which I believe there's characteristics of the Renaissance, man, or whatever the case is. I haven't seen that movie in, God, I don't know how many years. But I started Googling the term, and it seems as though there's other like-minded individuals that have posted like YouTube videos about this. Cause I was on the way to the gym and I got a long drive. I'm sitting there just, doing what most people shouldn't be doing on a long drive. And I'm just popping on my phone real quick, watching a YouTube video. And one guy was talking about it, and he hit everything on the head. He's like, look, I'm a mortgage guy. I'm like, huh, right. I did this. I'm a pilot. I'm like, oh dude, you're like my brother. And I'm listening to this video, and he said things that I totally agree with. And it's about constantly staying curious, and I think that, like I said, every entrepreneur should always stay curious and should always, continue to learn. Not to say that you should be distracted by every shiny object,
right?
Because that's where the discipline comes in. Like, hey, this is interesting. You know what? I'm going to put this on my to-do list, or I'm going to focus on growing or learning that later. But right now, I need to accomplish this task.
Yes.
Right. but just always kind of stay curious. And that's how you're going to continue to keep growing and become, good at real estate
Right.
in general.
Right.
What's the rule of thumb here is, you become an expert at something, right? And you should always become a student of your craft,
Mm,
which is to say you should always be learning,
right. Right.
and I've been a victim of I know that I don't want to learn that.
Yeah.
And next, I'm like, who's this new guy who's
Yep.
crushing it right
Right.
now and
Right.
doing
Right.
300-400 transactions a year? I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know something.
Yep.
So it's like, put the humility on and, like, keep your eyes and your ears open and say, hey, what's up, man? How are you doing this? And
Yeah.
just always stay curious.
Yeah. So I love that, man. And just to echo what you're saying, I got to go, a local buddy of mine, super successful individual in this space. He randomly texted me one day. He was like, yo, I'm going to, because we have like a local college, UNF. I'm
Mhm.
going to UNF to hear the author of the Elon Musk biography.
Okay.
He's doing a presentation at UNF tonight. Do you want
Okay.
to come? I was like, dude, heck yeah, I'm down. So we got to go watch a keynote speech of the author of Elon Musk's biography.
Now, was it his biography? Was he a ghostwriter or was he the actual?
It wasn't like an autobiography. Like he didn't write it. You know what I mean? Like Elon Musk's autobiography. Like Elon Musk didn't write it. Basically, what this guy does is he picks specific individuals of our time
Mhm.
and he spends months and months and months with them.
Okay.
And I'm sure he gives them a kickback on the book or vice
Mhm.
versa,
Okay. How flattering is that, by the way?
I know, right?
Seriously.
Isn't that amazing?
Hey, man, let me follow you for a couple months.
Yes.
And let me write a book about you.
Yes.
You're like, shit, come on.
Yeah. And so he shared his story about hanging out with Elon Musk for months.
How
And
was that?
dude, it was just amazing. And he talked about how like impactful he is as a person, but he talked about, so he was there when he bought Twitter and he gave the first like Twitter, like the first speech to Twitter
Mhm.
to all the employees. He was sitting right there. So
I'm-
basically, like
what a disruptor.
in order to live, to truly be able to write the biography of somebody, like you have to spend a lot of time with them,
Right.
and not just spend a lot of time just watching them, but like seeing them behind closed doors, right? And that's what he talked about, is like seeing Elon Musk behind closed doors.
Mhm.
It's just a whole nother level. But he talked about, because he wrote the book on Steve Jobs,
Oh, no kidding.
all this stuff,
All
right?
right.
And so I forget the guy's name, but what he talked about, the commonality of these people that change the world is genuine curiosity.
Hmm.
And it's not curiosity to make money. The curiosity of like, oh, I need to solve this problem because this will change this or this will make my life better or whatever. It's the genuine curiosity of just really wanting to know how it works. And because of that, all of the geniuses that he's written these books on, they all share the principle of being curious for the sake of wanting to know more about things. They just continue to go down the rabbit hole of how does these lids work on this cup, and like why does the lid have to be that way,
Mhm.
right? And like it's manufactured this way because of this. Well, is there a better way for that, right? And it's not because they want to become rich, or it's not because they want to do anything. They're just naturally like want to know, how does this work? And because of that, they go deeper into rabbit holes than anybody ever does, and they solve big problems, basically.
I love that example you mentioned about the lid. Okay. And the
Yes.
reason being is I think of the genius that after so many years finally fixed the ketchup packet. And now they have the freaking good ketchup packet. The one, it's like a 2.5 ketchups in this little thing. What a genius. All right. Let's give it out to the guy that updated the ketchup guy, whatever that thing is. Thank you, whoever did that. All right. Just had to have a little levity there. But dude, I always stay curious. There's like my mind just can't turn off. And that's an issue that I think a lot of entrepreneurs have, is their minds are just constantly
Yeah.
spinning,
Yeah.
and that's just something that, how do you shut your head? Well, I know how you tune out, but
Yeah.
how do most people tune out, right? It's like, how can you slow down your mind to be able to say, okay, I need to focus on a given task, or I need to wind down, because if not, I'm going to stay up all night,
Correct.
Now, as entrepreneurs, you stay up for, you can stay up at night for multiple reasons. One is pure curiosity. Two is, hey, I have a company to run, what's going
Anxious,
on, right? Hey, I got to meet payroll.
Yeah.
Hey, I got, how can I get my leads convert better? right? How can I grow my company? How can I navigate my company through, a little bit of a shifting market,
Yep.
And these are the type of things that, most entrepreneurs, as in, first of all, if you're a new entrepreneur, you haven't experienced this yet, you will. All right.
Mm.
And any entrepreneur that's been in business for any length of time knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
I just heard an interview that the Hard Knock guys, those are awesome dudes. They did an interview on not Corey, Cody Sperber,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and I just saw that one little clip, and man, I resonated with that so much. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm making all this money. Everyone thinks I'm making all this money. You got $10 million, but I'm in my underwear at my 9,000 square foot house in my theater room, crying because I have to figure out how to cover a $500,000 American Express bill and $200,000 in payroll. That
Yep.
hit me because I was like, Psh, dude, I've been there.
Yeah.
That's scary when you have those stresses on top of you where your staff, they don't give a shit.
Yep.
Your anyone that, your friends and family may not give a shit, but that's something that you have to, deal with on a personal level,
Yeah.
on a stressful emotional level, um, just navigating that kind of crap,
Right.
that's,
Right.
that's a downside. Everyone wants to be a CEO until it's those nights and you're the one who's always constantly cutting the checks,
Correct.
you
Correct.
know?
And how do you deal with that as far as, like, dealing with that pressure, right? Of, like, I wanna build something big. When you build something big, you know the challenges, especially after being an entrepreneur for a while. You almost, like, you know what you're setting yourself up for,
Right.
like, like, "Oh, I'm gonna get into this. Well, I know there's gonna be sleepless nights. I know that I'm gonna run into hurdles that
Mhm.
I'm gonna wanna quit. I know that I'm gonna, go down that path." How do you deal with it, and how do you continue to go through that path?
I think the best way I could respond to that is that, number one, I don't go into it saying I know I'm going to be hurting. I know I'm going to have sleepless nights. That's a given.
Mm,
Okay. So that's an expectation that isn't even a question that comes through my mind because that is the process. I know that there's, look, you start a new account or a new business. That means you have to start, a new business bank account. That means, there's these systems and steps and processes that happen naturally. I've got to apply for an EIN number. I got to
yeah,
get my ass whooped.
yep.
I got to stand up and I got to say, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. May I have another?
Mm,
I talk about that all the time that, those lucky few that start a business and skyrocket immediately, good for you.
right,
Good for you. Will you be able to navigate, turbulent markets? We don't know.
right,
That in my opinion is where, true leadership can come about. And not to say true leadership because that's not fair, to say
right,
because you
right,
can be a
right.
great leader, but the market can shift so quick on you that sometimes you get your hand stuck in the cookie jar. So losing, it's not that you're a good leader, that you're always going to be a winner, right?
Yep.
Because people lose, right? People lose. The question is, are you a loser because you lost? No, you're not. You just
Mm,
lost. Okay. So what do? You think about like just a basketball game or a football game. Miami Dolphins, if they lost, are they losers? Right? If
mm,
if the Miami Heat lost, are they losers? No, they lost that game. Brush it off and re-engage.
yeah,
Now, sometimes the financial consequences of losing in business can significantly impact you and it
right.
can scar you and it can hurt you mentally, physically, and emotionally. How fast are you going to get back up?
Mm,
You know, um, the I read something here recently and I've been hearing the same kind of statement over and over. And it said something to the effect of the greatest weight that someone can carry isn't, the weight of going to the gym and picking up heavy weights or the weight of gold or iron. It's the weight of unmade decisions.
mm,
And
wow.
that really hit me because I thought about all the stress that I put upon myself because I didn't make decisions faster.
Mm,
I'm stuck
mm,
going, this is a shit decision and this is another shitty decision. And ultimately speaking, when you run a business, sometimes you have to make the decision as to which is the less shittier decision
right,
because your options you have available may both suck. And that just sucks because whatever the consequences of those decisions you have to make, you're sitting there in silence, kind of thinking you're role playing everything out. Like, what if I do this? Like, if then rules, right?
right, right,
If
right,
I do
yep,
this, then this will happen. Then the subsequent, sub processes or the sub actions for the decision you made. So ultimately speaking, it's just re-engaging, man. It's like,
yeah,
shit's gonna happen, and, I heard this a long time ago, and I believe it. It says, "Deliver good news quick and deliver bad news quicker."
mm. That's good too, man.
I'm
Jeez.
dropping gems right now.
Dropping gems. Deliver good news quick. I love that.
Yeah. And again, these are not my sayings. These are things that I've heard echoed to me,
Yeah.
and those that I've heard it from, I most certainly appreciate it. I'm not sure who I heard any of those from, but social media and different books that I read or whatnot. And people always quote other people as well.
Have
But
you heard the new podcast with Jeff Bezos?
no,
Lex Friedman?
is it good?
Dude. It's the
Jeff
first
Bezos has a podcast now?
he was on a podcast.
Okay.
And I think it's like the first time he's ever done like a podcast like
How
that.
was
It
it?
was like a 3-hour podcast.
Mm.
Dude, it is phenomenal. And he talks about how he feels how like when he was the CEO, right, being the chief executive officer,
Mhm.
he felt like what he calls the chief slowdown officer. He's like his job as the CEO was actually to slow down the decision making process, to slow down the business.
That
And
is a different type of business, though.
oh no, absolutely, absolutely. But what I'm getting at is what he talked about is he talked about two-way decision,
Mhm.
two-door decisions
Okay.
versus one-door decision.
Mhm.
A one-door decision is you make that decision, there's no going back. Two-door decisions, you make that decision, you can go back. Go out the door, go to the other door.
Mhm.
So you said the problem is that most people have the same decision-making process for both scenarios.
Mhm.
If it's a one-way decision or if it's a two-way decision, most people aren't aware that you have different decisions that you have to make. Some are one way, some are two ways, right? So what he says is if you have one way of making a decision and you treat every decision like a one-way decision,
Mhm.
then you're going to be making decisions too slow. So he said you have to be able to differentiate. This is a two-way decision, so we can make a decision way quicker for a two-way decision than a one-door decision, basically. And so I just thought that was curious because, or at least for me, it hit me because I'm going through this changing market. Before I made decisions very quickly.
Mhm.
And while everything has been happening, like from last quarter of 2022, I had to make way more calculated decisions, way heavier decisions than ever before, right? It was like, do I let go of these people? Do I not? Do I
Mhm.
pivot into this? Do I not? All these, and there were bigger decisions. And so I feel like I needed to hear that because I feel like every decision since then I've been treating as a big decision.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so I've been slow at making decisions. And so hearing that and then hearing like you say, like just this weight of
Indecision.
indecision,
Mhm.
right? It's because I've been treating everything as if it's a big decision. And so I don't make a decision where if I treat things as a two-door decision, I'm able to make decisions quicker, have a lot more weight off my shoulders from not having a bunch of indecision, right? So I feel like this is all hitting me different ways, but I feel like that is
The variables are still there, though. So
correct,
so,
correct.
you have big decisions to make, and these decisions,
Absolutely.
whether you have one door, two door, and I hear that and I respect that. I think because you heard it from someone else, it poses that question, right? I guess where I'm alluding to here is that a lot of entrepreneurs are stuck and they're siloed because they can't necessarily depend on their staff or their employees or their single operators. They're making decisions on their own without the guidance of people who may have been there.
Mm,
And I know that for far too long in my career, I was the person who was answering my own questions. And a lot of decisions were made, and it worked out for me, but I've also lost a lot of time. Right, and I've
yeah,
also lost because I could have made better calculated decisions had I have
right.
had a mentor, right?
Mm.
A friend, a colleague, somebody who may have been, in that realm with me. But I guess the point where I'm saying is, when you are in a position of authority or leadership, or you're making decisions to grow, you need to. It's not even you should. It's you need to surround yourself with other business leaders, with other business owners, to
Yes.
be able to share, because other business owners will be able to potentially share that same sentiment, that same feeling, that same kind of hey, I've been in that rock and that hard place.
Right. Right.
Whereas if not, you're now going, there's no litmus test. There's no,
Yeah.
like, what do I
Absolutely.
do?
Did I mess up? Am I doing the wrong thing?
Right. Where someone can come in
Absolutely.
and say, hey, what if you did this? You're like, holy shit, I didn't even think about that.
Absolutely.
Like the two-door option. I didn't even think
Yes.
about that.
Right.
Now
Right.
they're
Right.
giving you that other variable. And
Correct.
I love that, because I'll tell you
Yeah.
right now, sometimes the worst thing you can do is limit yourself on your options, which they say sometimes less options are a better opportunity. But sometimes you need to hear something where you go, I never even thought about it from that perspective.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think too many people laser focus on their problems, where sometimes you got to step back and look at it from the macro, not the micro,
Right.
and just step back and walk away, and have the ability to, instead of looking at it from this perspective, come over here and look at it from this perspective.
Right. Right.
And I think that's where good friends and mentorship
Absolutely.
and coaches and just good friends in general that are business owners.
Yeah, I feel like an example of that for me was this recent change, like everything. I obviously I take full accountability for everything. I'm just that, extreme accountability,
Right.
Jocko Willink. I'm a big believer of all that. And so it's very tough to like the market slaps you in the face. You question like what could I have done? What should I have done?
Mhm.
Am I one of those like I'm one of those dudes who I got into the market in 2016. It's all been up since then. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I'm one of those dudes where, like, I never experienced a down market. I never experienced a challenging market. Never experienced any of that. I've only experienced up, and then once it went up after COVID, it went up even upper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, I was one of those dudes sitting in these rooms, like, I'm doing all these hundreds of deals with everybody. I have it figured out where all these people never figured it out. Like, I have it figured out.
Right.
And then you get slapped in the face. And then now I'm questioning, like, did I even know what I was doing? Like, did I just get lucky? Right? Like, where could I have seen this? Whatever. And I'll never forget, it was in Belize of 2022, October 2022, where I was starting to question like if I need to let go of people.
Mhm.
Right. And that was the first time like I'm letting go of people because I have to, not because they're not performing.
Right.
Right. Like that had never happened
It's a
before.
weight. That's a
Yeah,
weight. That's a lot
correct.
of stress and pressure.
Absolutely, man. And so I was just asking people, like, yo, what do I do? Blah, blah, blah. And I'll never forget, like, everybody was just telling me, like, dude, like, anybody that was around over the last crash all went through what you're going through right now. We
Mhm.
all had to downsize. We all had to let go of people. We all had to reinvent ourselves. We all had to figure it out.
Mhm.
And we're all still in this room,
Right.
you know? And so, like, that was a powerful moment for me, not because, like, I want to weigh out, you know what I mean? Or like to feel better about myself. But it was also like sometimes things are out of your control. And if you're in business, you're gonna ride the wave, right? And sometimes it's a good high and then sometimes there's a low. And if you've never experienced a low, talking to other people who I see at a high level, realizing that I didn't think about it, that they were at a high level before,
Mhm.
and then they also went down to a super low level, and now they're back up at this level. You forget about that part. You only think of them where they are now,
Mhm.
and they're like up here at this level. Where if I wasn't part of groups where I listened to other business owners or whatever, like there's chances where like I just could have shut down, and be like, this isn't for me. Like, I messed this up. I thought I was the best business owner ever, and turns out it was just a really good market, and I don't know what I'm doing. And like, I don't ever want to put other people's
I think
lives like that.
I
You
think
know what
that's
I
an
mean?
unfair statement. I mean,
Correct, correct.
like, what you have built, is incredible. And what you've done in a short amount of time, it's impressed a lot of people, myself included. But and I can't believe I forgot the character's name in Greek mythology, the gentleman who flew too close to the sun and his feathers, started kind of going away. Uh,
Oh,
it's going to bother me right now because I'm a history guy, but I think what happens is sometimes as business operators, right, we're doing good and we're soaring, we're in the sky, we're operating, everything's going well, the money's flowing. You feel at certain points like you can't do wrong. Okay.
correct.
And Icarus, thank you.
Icarus.
Thank you. It was going to bother me. And so the story is, or the gist here is that you flew too close to the sun.
Right.
And you're free falling. Now the
Yep.
decision is what do I do? Now you have the weight of the company, the employees, everything else. And ultimately speaking, it's not that you have to save yourself, is that as a business leader, you know, when a plane's going down, what do they say? You have to first put on your own mask before you can
Right.
help somebody else. If you worry
Absolutely.
about helping everyone else, then you're going to die in that process.
Yep.
In order for you to be a good leader, that one, some people can say it's selfish, but you have to be able to put the mask on. In the military, I did nuclear, biological, chemical warfare. Anytime you hear gas, 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 you put on your own mask first,
Mm.
right? There's no way you're able to re-engage the enemy or re-engage the fight, re-engage anything if you didn't put your own mask on first, because you're going to get hit with nuclear, biological, or chemical warfare, right? So you have to put your own mask on first to be able to live to fight another day.
Mm.
And those are the decisions that, you have to be able to say, and it's difficult. I mean, because I'll tell you right now, I have sleepless nights when I have to make decisions on letting people go, especially, I don't think it'll be as severe the greater I scale, because I'll have other managers to be able to do that. But when you have to make executive decisions to let go of executives or senior management or whatnot, man, that pressure weighs on you, because these are people that have been to your house. These are people that done company events with you. These are people that traveled with you or whatnot. You've shared, you've broke bread with, and now you have to say like, yeah, it's not because of performance, or technically to some degree it may be, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Um, but I have to let you go.
Yeah.
And that is a shitty thing to have to go through.
Yep.
Some people get off on firing people.
Yeah.
I don't. I absolutely hate it. Yeah, unless you're stealing from me,
Well,
you're doing
I
something
think
wrong, your
it's like,
performance.
if an employee is firing somebody, then it's different, right? I could be wrong, right? But that's just my opinion, right? Like, if my job is to fire people, I can see how some people can be like, heck yeah,
Yeah.
right? And then there's like firing people when you like what you were just about to say, right? Like, oh, they're stealing from me, or they're not performing, or they've been here and they did this, and oh man, like I just got to fire this person. Like, dude,
Right.
you're fired, right? Like
Right.
those people, you feel it a little bit less.
Still sucks.
Still sucks,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I do agree, man, that like firing is tough. Firing is hard, and it's you never know how to do it the right way. Like
I figured out the best strategy. Yeah.
okay.
I sent him a text message like, hey man, you're fired. Leave your keys at the front desk. Goodbye. Not kidding. LOL. The end. Hashtag smiley face.
And then what do they reply?
Like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I wasn't leaving. Kidding. You got to go. Bye. I'm just kidding. I haven't done that. But I thought about that movie. I was Get Into the Greek with,
Oh yes, yes,
dude, Puff
yes,
Daddy is just
dude.
crazy. It's just like,
Yes.
I'm going to kill you. Hashtag smiley face.
Dude, that's such a great movie. I'm so happy you know about that movie.
Oh, dude, of course, man.
Yes.
I use that line all the time where
Oh my
everything's like, oh, I'm
god.
going to
Do you
kick your
remember
ass. This is
the cell
ridiculous.
phone in the room when his phone rings?
No.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Dude, and you just
Go
grab
ahead and answer.
bro, dude. Oh, so good. He's like, yeah, he's looking at me right now.
Yeah, right
dude.
now, right now.
Dude,
Give me
I
that.
love that movie. Oh man. So how learning everything that you have and being in the industry for so long, like how do you deal with the punches? Right? Like, do you ever get that sense of like, I've been in this industry, like I know this stuff, like I shouldn't experience punches anymore. Like I should, you know what I mean?
No, I expect it.
Okay.
So I expect it, and the bliss or the blessing is when you don't get hit.
Mm,
So I think if you wake up expecting to get hit and you don't, then it's like, hmm, today's a good day.
got it.
I didn't have to use my AK.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If you know that, again, markets shift, right? And you have different markets, and we all know. Here's the funny part: if we all know that markets are cyclical, right? And you have people that can lay over, 20 years of real estate, and you have graphs. And I did this during the market crash. I was like so intrigued, as in dumbfounded, rather. How
Yeah.
did this happen to me? I
Yeah.
didn't see any signs, because I was the guy who got in 2003.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crushed it
And
totally.
well, yeah, and just started doing really well. And I thought I knew everything, because I'm 20 years old, making 20 to 70 grand a month in the
Yeah.
mortgage industry. I'm like, this is great. I know everything. I didn't know shit.
Yeah.
I knew this small little portion of what I knew. I didn't understand economics. I didn't understand, the bond market. I didn't understand what was going on with respect to, RMBSs and CDOs and all this other crap that was going on, right? I didn't understand any of that. But if you do know that real estate is cyclical,
Right.
we know that something's happening. So based on, if you're able to just like get out of your business, right? And look at things from a 10,000 point of view, you look at things totally different. Too many people, business owners, business operators are in the weeds, right? Just trying to navigate their business. I got to hire someone. I got to fire someone. I need to figure out my new marketing strategy. I got to make sure someone's going to put up a sign or do this or do that. You're so in the weeds of doing things that sometimes it's good to be able to step back
Yeah.
and then look into your business and say, what could I do here from a different perspective, right? That's one level. Next level is you're going to be in this business with respect to investing. Are we running, or are we in a bull market too long? You know,
Right.
right? At what point do I need to hedge my bets? Right?
Right.
At what point do I need to pull out?
Mm.
Right? I'd rather pull out 2 minutes too early than 1 minute too late.
Yeah.
Right. So there's people that, are a
How was
little,
your pullout game, by the way?
I have 4 kids, so we're not very good.
I was talking about deals. No,
Oh,
I'm
my
kidding.
bad. Well, one thing I can tell you is, you've heard me on stage at the boardroom or other events or whatever, where I've been telling everyone that interest rates are going to increase for years. Okay. I've said, guys, this is artificially low interest rates. I've been saying this shit for years. Okay. Now I've known it. Other people have known it. And I expected it. What I didn't expect was like a 3 point increase
Right.
in a single
Right.
year.
Right.
And this is something that financially hurt me,
Yeah.
because now I'm a good, I believe in the good, use of debt. But look at how many, I mean, you have what, $3.1 trillion of commercial debt that's resetting this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Default rates are up. We're still 88% lower than we were in 2009, but we're up 26% right now. Okay. There's multiple markets. Florida's one of them. Texas is another, in California. So you have California, Texas, and Florida that are leading the country in foreclosures right now. We have 386,000 foreclosure filings in the country, very low in relation to the millions that were in
Right.
the past. But when you're looking at data, this trend is going to continue.
Yeah.
Now, there's a difference, though, between foreclosure starts and foreclosure completions. Why? Because more people have equity in their homes now than they did before. Okay. So people are going to sell the homes while they're still being marketed. So there's still a really good opportunity for investors to be able to provide a solution to sellers, right? You just got to get past that barrier. Like, look, ma'am, sir, getting something's better than getting nothing, right?
Right. Right.
$50,000 is better than 100% of nothing,
Yep.
right? So there's a really good opportunity. Nevertheless, okay, there is still a lot of equity and people have options and opportunities to get out of it. Now, I could tell you right now, like, I got my hand stuck in the cookie jar. I'm
Yep.
not happy about it. But what do? I expect to get punched in the face. So now there's certain things that I understand things, and now I'm looking at it from a logical decision versus emotional. I go, well, I know that if I pay a default rate, as an example, that might be cheaper than me to refinance, right? As an example, incur another set of origination fees, closing costs,
Right.
this, that, or whatever. What's the cost benefit analysis of me doing that?
Mm.
Right. So, as an example, if I'm going to pay a higher rate, as an example, well, let's think about that. From a business perspective, am I going to get an additional tax write off? Yes, I
Right.
am.
Right.
Can I afford that tax write off? I need that tax write off. Am I going to, reduce my profit? Well, there's a break even point, right?
Right.
So the
Right.
way I look at it, and there's other factors here, right? So if we have historically low inventory, which we do, and you have interest rates that are finally slipping in the positive direction, meaning,
Yep.
our rates are reducing, I'm starting to see an uptick in market activity. Because at
Right.
one point, this was me. Is my MLS working? Because I didn't think it was working, because none of my properties received showings, viewing requests. Now we understand, obviously, this, you have Thanksgiving and
Right.
the
Right.
holidays and so on and so forth. But generally speaking, prior to this, historically speaking, December's have always been my best months.
Mm.
People take their foot off the pedal. Well, I'm fucking smashing that shit in. I'm going, I'm riding this wave to the end of the year. My year isn't over until December 31st at midnight. Right. And I take pleasure in the fact that I keep pushing every single year while people like to get let off the gas.
Yep.
And while this year was still really good, December for us, it wasn't as good as we expected.
Yeah.
I expected an extra literally 1.6, $1.7 million in 2023 that I didn't get.
Yeah.
Okay. That's carrying over to 2024 with a major reduction.
Yep.
The way I'm kind of balancing it out is okay, as an example, this is my logic. I've taken reductions, not loss of profit, loss of phantom profit,
Yep.
right? But we're still profiting, right? That's our projected profit. So even if I do a reduction, which sucks because I make financial decisions based on our projected profits,
Yep.
right? Hey, I'm going to buy 5 houses. Well, shit, I can't buy 5 houses. I can only buy 2 now. Boo-hoo, right? Shame
Right.
on me. I can only buy 2 instead of 5, as an example. That's the difference between emotional and logical. It sucks. That means I just got to work harder and be able to make that up. But if I know that, and this is all speculation, this is really what investors do to some degree. We don't have a crystal ball. As Ray Dalio says, those that live by the crystal ball will be shattered by it. So my speculation is, well, if inventory is down and interest rates are going down, what happened during COVID when there was limited inventory? We thought the market was going to tank. It skyrocketed.
Yep.
So what I think is going to happen is my projection. We had the Fed has announced X amount of rate drops, right? I believe what 6, and we've already had 2 or
Yep.
something like that. We've had 9 steady straight weeks of declining interest rate, which has triggered market activity, right? So we have these scheduled rate drops short of pricing going completely out of control overnight. I think they're going to still continue to step down in their interest rate. But if that happens, price points are going to go up because there's going to be limited inventory. More people can afford homes, lower interest rates, even at higher price points, you can still afford more. Your affordability factor is going to be greater. So the way I look at it is I'm going to recapture some of those reductions, if that
Mm.
makes sense, which will offset any default rate that I had to pay to begin with.
So what does that mean you're gonna recapture that? Does it mean like you're going to like
I'm going to raise the price.
you're gonna raise the price?
Yes, exactly what I'm going to do.
Got it.
So that's the difference. Now again, there's certain properties I'm gonna get this shit off of my back. You know,
Right.
I want this stuff off the books. I make my profit. I got to rotate that because remember, there's other things you have to factor in, like opportunity cost, right?
Absolutely. Velocity of
Opportu-
money, all that.
Dude, you know, because that
Yeah.
money could have been made or placed somewhere else that I
Yeah.
could have, turned
Might
that
as well
money
do a
to.
hard money loan.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, um, there's a lot of factors that come into, investments, and that's where I think, being a good operator can come in, where you go, you know what, market shifted, what do I do?
Right.
And when investors invest in you, they're investing in the jockey, not the horse, right? The
Yep.
horse is the investment, you as the operator or the jockey. So your decision making abilities, albeit hard, hey, do I do this shitty decision or that one?
Yeah.
What's going to have a less shitty impact?
Yeah.
And if so, how can I mitigate or how can I offset that? Right.
Right. Right.
So, investments, they ebb and they flow. Right. Now, fortunately, I've never lost, correction. I lost my first house when the market tanked. And we talked about this during the last, podcast. I was 23 years old when I bought my first house. I was 25 when I lost it. You want to talk about eating a humility sandwich?
Oh,
That
dude, I
shit
bet.
hard. And with kids and everything,
Oh,
that
man.
was the beginning of the fracture of my marriage.
Yeah.
It was difficult. It was difficult for everyone. And I'm being honest with everyone because
Yeah.
it's like, it is what it is. People that come up and like, oh, I've never lost. Well, good for you.
Right.
I
Right.
guess a
Right.
true testament to someone's character is what do you do and how do you come back after you've taken a loss?
Right. Right.
And the only reason I know what I know is because of those losses. I wouldn't have been quote unquote, educated in any industry or any specific field had I not lost.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have been an arrogant idiot
Yeah.
that was in my 20s making all this money going, yeah, money's coming. It's all great. We're
Yeah.
pissing it all
Might have
away.
been a harder fall.
It would have been a harder fall.
Yeah.
Because of that loss so early on, I threw every waking moment. I worked 20 plus hours a day, like literally learning about the friggin' Federal Reserve and camel ratings of banks and all this shit to understand like what's going on and why do banks make decisions? How do they have the ability to make those decisions? Why couldn't they make those decisions?
Right.
When you're having, you have collateralized or cross collateralized loans, you don't have, it's not a whole loan operator where one bank can make, one person can make that decision. It's very, very complicated. I wanted to learn about that. I wanted to learn how that worked. And now it's funny because when the market tanked, I was an originator. I was this little piss on, this little guy over here thinking I'm a big dog because I'm writing loans, right?
Yep.
And over the last 20 years, now we're talking about raising funds and doing debt funds and doing this. So those same institutions that were, I don't want to say responsible for this, but trading these massive debt instruments and so on and so forth, we're now at that level.
Right.
We're like, you know what? My education and my experience has afforded me the opportunity to say, I'm ready to ride this horse,
Yeah.
and that's only possible because of the losses, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Absolutely. So what all are you juggling right now? So I know you have like what where does your attention get divided on the daily? Right?
That's a
Like
really good question. So, fortunately, like in our wholesale operation, we this over the last tw- 18 months, give or take, maybe a little longer, we got out of Florida. Now we're multiple markets. So, the evolution of quote unquote virtual wholesaling is something that again, wholesaling has never been a core business of mine. When I joined the
right,
board, I'm like,
right.
shit, if I can add X amount of dollars to my income, or have, surplus, extra cash that comes in between our flips, even better. Me personally, I'm more managing people and managing processes while working on the goals that I want to do. So, like over the last 12 months, it's been really great. And when I say great, I mean, even though there's a lot of things that aren't working so well, right? Okay, those things that aren't working so well are opportunities to correct those issues, right? However, my title company is doing extremely well. We just hit 10 states yesterday. We're hitting 25 states, which target we wanted to do last year, but market shifting, everything else.
So
Underwriters.
quick plug, if you don't mind, what states can you like in case anybody's listening?
Okay, if you guys are wholesalers and you're looking for an investor-friendly title company, or you do any other kind of investing, we understand how to navigate that. So we're in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Delaware, Arizona, Colorado. Did I miss something? 10 states, guys. Go to our website. We got to update one state just because we added Kentucky to it. Short of that, those are the states that we're in right now. We are pending Virginia. We're pending Pennsylvania, Ohio, and a few other states. So 100%, the goal is by 2024 to be in 25 states.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, man. So that's really good. Our that's peaktitlepro.com. So we're Peak Title Professionals. We offer free university on our website. Just kind of a little quick crash course if you guys are new. We're also offering a really cool tool that I'm covering the expense for, to the extent that people use it. I'm not going to keep paying for this service. So if if you're interested, DM me and I'll give you access to our Fetch program, which gives you access to like farming tools and like free leads. It's like to some degree like a batch or like a prop stream, but
Okay.
I'm paying for it.
Got it.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Our hard money's been around forever. We're in 43 states, but my core focus. So one of the step backs that we had to do, which sucked because it took me years, and most people it doesn't take that long. It's just I'm a perfectionist. When it comes to raising capital, I want to make sure that everything is spot on and perfect. So it took me years to set up our Reg D 506C fund for our build to rent. Build to rent is like wildfire. Everyone's doing it. When you're doing purpose built SFR subdivisions, now you're able to get agency financing. It's very attractive because they're looking at it and treating it, the agencies, as like a garden style apartment complexes.
Got
Okay.
it.
So it's very attractive to do, not scattered lots,
So what does that mean? Because I don't really know much about that world.
cheaper financing. Okay.
Figured. Okay.
So, if interest rates, for example, are at 6, you can get maybe a 4.5.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Because as an example, because we're treating it as,
It's a safer bet.
it's a safer bet.
Essentially.
It's a safer bet. If you think about it too, because if you have a subdivision you created for the sole intent of doing build to rent, what does a subdivision have in relation to a apartment community? Let's say, do they have maybe a park? Do they have green space? Do they happen to have maybe a pool or whatnot, a clubhouse? So they're
Mhm.
looking at those amenities as well and saying, you know what, we should treat this asset class almost as if it was, a garden style type of apartment complex. So you're
Got it. Got
there's a
it. Yeah.
lot more
That makes
attractive
sense.
financing, and you're having a lot of more, institutional investors that
Yep.
want to fund one spot versus so the first fund we were launching was to do scattered lots. Okay. And I worked so hard to get everything set up, the websites, our investor portals, spent 60, 70 grand between docs and portals and software and everything else. That's money out of my pocket,
Yeah.
right? That I've got to advance. Yes, I'll recoup that later, but in the interim, it hurts leaving, money leaving your pocket without seeing an immediate return.
Absolutely.
So now we're ready to rock and roll launch. And then guess what happens? The federal government, in their infinite wisdoms, decide to jump interest rates 300 bips, 300 basis points, 3 points. I couldn't in good conscience continue our investment with our
Mm.
investors when I expected a certain rate of return and our investments were based on certain leverage, okay, with certain interest rates. So I had to make the decision to say
Mm.
after doing this massive windup, which took me way too long to get started, okay, and the power of indecision or the weight of indecision. So I wanted to make sure everything was perfect for our investors. I had to then go back to my investors and say, "Here's your money back." Like, what the hell does that mean?
Wow.
So it hurt so bad because, that all cost me money, And they're like, "Well, what's going on?" I go, "I can't in good conscience take your money if we expected, for example, say a 33% IRR. I don't want to take it and then have to come back to you and tell you, 'Hey, I can only deliver 19 and a half.' Is it still a good investment? Hell yeah. But I don't want my name associated with something that's so far off,
Right. Right.
especially if it was such in the beginning stages of the interest rate increase,
Yeah.
and I didn't know where the end was going to be. So I had to make the executive decision, which hurt. It hurt me. It sucked because we had everything lined up, hired people, did everything for the growth, and then had to scale that back because I had to protect my investors, and
Hey,
more importantly, I had to protect my reputation.
absolutely.
So
Yeah. I mean, I kudos to you, man, because I think that is I think a lot of people probably I I don't think everyone managing other people's money are smart enough to think that way. And some that are chose the latter.
right,
And I know a lot of those people in situations where they're like, yo, like I get whether it's syndications or funds or whatever, it's like, yo, I lost like hundreds of thousands of dollars
I
and that person's now in
refuse.
jail
Right.
because of X things. You know what I mean? And it's like it's crazy like hearing that stuff. Like I just remember, I'm not gonna name any names or anything like that, but like I remember being pitched certain syndications by
Mhm,
certain individuals, and like 2 years later,
mhm.
I'm like, there's a article going around of that person in jail.
Right.
I'm like, holy
Yeah.
crap! Like I didn't know it was that deep.
I've watched
You
enough
know?
was it American Greed,
Yeah.
to go like, "Look, dude, I don't even want to jaywalk anymore,"
Right.
like, when it comes to other people's money,
No,
it's,
absolutely, but that is, I mean, I it hurts. I had over 2 mil raised of private money,
Mhm.
unsecured. It was the dream. Things changed, had to give it back. I was only able to get about 500 of it back, basically, because everybody allocated their money somewhere else,
Right.
right? But, and I'm sure you don't need to be told this, but like, dude, the worst thing is you gave your investors their money back
Mhm.
and you lost some money. That's awesome.
Yeah.
As opposed to,
Well, my advisors and mentors, they said even the people that like my legal team or whatnot, they're like, "You know what?" So for example, our forensic auditors, right? So we hired, third party, we had fund administrators, we had everything ready to rock and roll. And guys that manage billions of dollars, in terms of fund administrators and forensic auditing teams to, because we were covering everything. I want to make sure that, we have a third party fund administrator to protect our investors.
yep,
Also had an extra layer of protection against, just me. I'd rather pay a little bit more, which comes out of the fund as an expense.
right,
It's well worth it to be able to give that sense of security to our investors.
absolutely.
And when I told them after the wind up and after going through everything and going, all right, guys, we're ready to rock and roll. Awesome. Everyone's hired, everything's inked. And then I got to go, okay, awesome. I lost money in preparation for this.
Yeah,
Okay. And what they told me was, you have no idea how many guys we see in your position that just keep running the ball down range and they lose.
yep,
You did the right thing and your investors are going to appreciate you for it. So what
yep,
are we doing now? Because of going through additional events, I saw that Ari speak on stage and with Kent. The guy was freaking a rock star, the
yeah,
guy from Austin. And I just, all you need is that one little nugget. I literally heard him speak, and I was like that, the aha moment. I go, I have an idea. And I literally ran out of the room. I go, we're restructuring the fund. I didn't waste the money. I just didn't, I just parked there. Okay. Meaning I already set up all the legal documents. So right now I just spent an extra 25 grand. So I'm going to be all in for 100. So an extra 25 grand redoing all my docs. Right. And so instead of me now creating a fund for this and a fund for that, we're now reorganizing everything to do a fund to funds. Okay.
mm,
So now we're gonna be able to do debt instruments out of one. We're gonna be able to do build to rent out of it. We're gonna be able to do everything. And it's gonna give the investor the ability to not only have one K1 as opposed to multiple K1s, they're gonna be able to reinvest their capital through our portal. Okay.
oh
So
wow,
we say, for example, like, look, we're starting X amount of new construction homes in the meantime, and we already have the projects already allocated. However, if you park this cash, we can do 1 or 2 short-term bridge loans. Okay, then take your profit, rotate it from that right into this next investment.
Mm,
We just keep recycling their cash.
yeah.
So it's not that I lost money per se, just to be clear. It's that I didn't make the immediate return.
Right.
So I could have took something and said, okay, great. Now I've got all these great documents, which is in a vehicle, right? So this is an investment vehicle. I'm going to park this car in the garage. I'm going to park this vehicle in the garage. When the market shifts, we're still building houses. Okay. Our goal and our passion is to build affordable housing. So we're still going to do that. But now this vehicle is going to be parked here up and until the market shifts. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an investment decision. It's non-emotional. It's a logical business decision. However, I'm going, wait a minute. I could soup up that car right now. That vehicle's there. It's ready to rock and roll. What if I were to tweak this and do that? So now I'm having my legal team modify everything. Okay. And we partner with a different tech platform. And now we're going to be getting that car. It's going to be with the nitrous and everything ready to rock and roll. And we've upgraded the motor. And now we're going to be able to drive that vehicle.
Mm,
Okay. So it's just, again, shifting and making better decisions as opposed to indecision.
right.
So
Right.
yes, it's like, okay, I'm already 60, 70 grand down. Do I want to put more money into this? I got to be smart. I got to make better decisions with money, blah, blah, blah. The market's shifting until we liquidate X amount of dollars and refill our coffers with reserves, which is something I want to talk about. Is it worth doing that? Well, from an investor's perspective, from my perspective, because I trust me, I know what I could do. Absolutely. I'm rolling the dice on me. It's my money.
Right.
Right. So that's what we're going to do to be able to continue our vision to build affordable housing and do everything else we want to do with one vehicle, not have
Got
to
it.
worry about 1,000 different vehicles.
So, as far as like what you're seeing,
Mhm.
right, the way that you've been talking is you are feeling that we're seeing the path of interest rates coming down a little bit. We're still experiencing low inventory.
Right.
It's gone up a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, are you basically bullish on 2024?
100%.
Okay.
I'm bullish 100% on 2024. My goal is to liquidate my current holdings and double down on new construction. So I'm upgrading my
Yeah.
asset class, 100% upgrading my asset class. Right now we've got 788 self-storage units in the pipeline. We've got 300 to 350 units that we're negotiating right now that we're trying to figure out, do we want to do market rent a project or try to go after a light tech project? Okay. So that's a whole different animal in itself. That's something that I've been wanting to pursue for a long time that I haven't yet done it. Right before our podcast, I was out there with the Florida Housing Financing Corporation trying to figure out what program do they have, whether it's a 9% or 4%, and understanding the nuances of those programs and how many competitors are in the space. And these guys are guys that get 100%, 5 across the board with their point systems. I've never applied for something like this. So this is the next animal that I'm going to have to learn, right? And this is the beautiful thing is, okay, I don't know it. Well, I want to learn it. Or who can I hire or who can I partner with that is an expert in light tech that I can bring into the fold so
Right.
they can do that. But I also want to learn the process because I'm constantly curious. I don't want to get to the point where I go, okay, I'm going to hire everything out because then I lose touch of reality.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that I can cut a check and hire someone to do something. Did I learn?
Yeah.
Did I grow? There's certain things that I don't want to know how to do. I don't want to learn how to do a toilet, how to fix an AC. But at the same time, yes, I do because I'm constantly
Yeah.
curious. I mean,
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
how do you do this?
No, it's
Oh,
true.
interesting. I'm just all right. Now I know in
Yeah.
theory, there's a difference between theory experience and practical experience.
Right.
How many guys read a book, say, who was it? Was it Michael, Mike Tyson that said, you can read about about
Oh, you can
getting
read
punched in
about
the,
like
yeah, getting punched in the face, but,
right,
or
right,
get
right.
punched in the
Or get,
face,
yeah, yeah.
you'll realize you don't want to get punched in the face.
Yes.
So it's one thing about learning and reading, but there's a lot of people that do a really good job at taking action and learning something. Then that's to the extent of where their taking action goes.
Right.
You have to make decisions, and good, bad, or indifferent. At least you made that decision. And if you try and you failed, you can retreat and say, okay, I did it, didn't work for me. Or you can try to re-engage, or if it's something that you really truly are passionate about. I say this a lot too, because I read this somewhere and I believe it. It says the world needs ditch diggers too. So not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone's meant to be a real estate investor. Not everyone's meant to be a big real estate tycoon or business leader. We need people who work at, you know, the grocery store. We need people who work as butchers. You know, there's nothing against anyone I'm saying by any means, but we need people to be able to do these things, right? It's just, if you're on that entrepreneur journey, you have to elevate your game. You have to elevate your circle. You have to elevate the people you're with, because if not, then you're dying.
Yeah.
You're not growing. You're not learning.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing you can do to an entrepreneur, is box them in and limit their growth.
Right. Right. Yeah. You should never be at the top of the totem pole of
100%.
whoever you're hanging out with. Right. Absolutely. And I do agree with that. And I've been a product of doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that's what I try to do since I've been 20 years old, 19 years old. I've been in masterminds, you know, or go to events or try to learn or whatever.
It took me way too long to do that, man.
No, I feel like that's the reason I am who I am, is because a lot of it is seeing other people, seeing what other people have done, being there to ask them questions and all that. And then realizing I should have asked more and gone to more events. And, you know, because sometimes you're part of a mastermind and then you don't even participate. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes like even on some of like the boardroom calls, like I don't make all the boardroom calls. Like that's dumb. I should be on all the boardroom calls.
I
And
feel the same exact way.
that's like my goal for this year, is to like be on every boardroom call and to ask one question at every boardroom call.
I think if you're able to extract one thing, just one thing, hopefully from every meeting, but not everyone, you know, not every meeting's like a gen dropping, you know.
Right.
You know, and there's some things like, whatever. But you know, you're able to, it's interaction, it's community.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But I can tell you right now, one thing that I never thought about prior to the boardroom, this really happened later on in the boardroom, is scaling to sell. Okay. You know, there's certain things where before it's like, look, I want to make X amount of dollars, right? I want to either build, or I want to, you know, have X amount of doors under my belt because I want X amount of cash flow. Do I still want that? Absolutely. But now I'm looking at my businesses as, which of these businesses are viable to sell, and who would be a potential buyer?
Right.
And what kind of multiple can I get on my sale?
Yeah.
And that right there is where, in my opinion, the investment in the boardroom for me has really paid off. Because now I'm structuring my organization. We talked about title as an example.
Absolutely.
What do? I don't really do much anymore. Why? Because I want to create a system that doesn't require me to be a part of it. So, which makes it, I'm not an owner operator. I've got a system in place. I've got teams and partners in different states. I've got this and I've got that. By the way, we're also developing a tech piece to the software, or to our title company, which will be a proprietary software. What did I just do by doing that? Now we have, it's a fintech, prop tech company.
Yeah.
Those trade at higher multiples.
Yep.
So I'm already pulling feelers out for what kind of multiple I can get. My buddy just sold his title business, as an example. Not saying I'm selling my title business, or may, but
hey, you know, they say everything's for sale for the right price.
Everything's for sale for the right price.
Absolutely.
But I have a goal, and there's a goal that I want to hit. And let's just say that the tentative goal right now is I want to build one of my businesses to sell it for 50 million. And I'm saying that because I speak things into fruition. I speak things into existence. I believe in the power of thought. I believe in the power of manifestation of thought.
Yeah.
So, but $50 million is to hit a certain milestone. Now, speaking to other potential partners and other potential investors, I love it because they go, that's too small. I go, shit, yes, exactly. Because I really want 100. And that's a better number for us. But there's certain milestones. So now I look at the number that I want to sell, and it's just math, right? As Ken says, you know, math is the language of business. So if I know that I want to sell, let's say for $100 million, that's my goal. I think in 10 years, I'm going to exit one of my businesses for 100 million. Okay. Let's reverse engineer that. Let's just say I get a 3x multiple, right, on my business. I think it's a conservative number, right? If I get 5x, it's even better, but I'd rather go on the 3x multiple, right, and reverse engineer the deal. Yep. So does that mean I have to do 8,000 transactions a year or 4,000 transactions per year? Is that 333 or 444 transactions per month? You know, these are the type of things that I'm thinking out right now and going, okay, well, how many states am I in? Well, that means I've got to do 40 plus deals per state, blah, 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 in order for me to hit my number and my goal. Yep. Everything, it's the same way as the KPIs. You're just breaking it all down. So, they say is, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a
One
time.
bite at a time. So you look at the number, the end game in mining, you just reverse engineer
Yeah.
the thing. So that's where my mentality is at right
I
now.
do think that you have to be in a sellable industry,
Title is a
right?
very sellable
Because
industry.
title is one of those industries
Right.
that can sell,
Right.
right? Like I think it'd be very naive to say like I'm going to build my wholesale business up to do 5 million a year and sell it. Like I
Yet,
don't know.
a wholesale company was able to raise $65 million in Series A funding
But they're probably like super huge, right?
because they got $65 million in
Yeah,
funding. They
yes.
were able
That's
to
right.
become
That's right.
super
That's right.
huge. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, that's true.
come on,
That's
dude.
true.
Now you have the gas and now you have the
Yes,
fuel
yes. Right,
to
right.
be able to propel yourself to be able to
Right.
do that.
Right,
Now
right.
they also had a title component. They also had a
Well, I was
mortgage
gonna say
component.
like you can't just be a wholesale company
Well, no,
at
they
that
they
end,
have different
correct? Because then
verticals.
you have to have like if you're gonna raise that, I mean, they probably had to have intellectual property of like of
No, this
the
they
CRM, anything
literally
like
don't.
that.
And that's
No,
actually interesting. I don't want to get into
really?
the mechanics of it, but let's just say that their Series B, um, they were advised that because they don't have their own tech, it's like, what did you do with all this money that you didn't develop your own tech? Now they're going back and developing their own tech. What did I get out of that? I learned from other people.
Yeah.
So because they said that, I go, huh, now I need to know. Now I know I need to develop my own tech. That's
Right.
where that the birth of that idea
Yeah.
happened by that conversation, by elevating my game and speaking to other people who I'm very
Yeah.
appreciative about. Those guys are absolutely incredible. And I enjoyed my conversations with them. And that's one thing I love. It's not like, when you're in the right circle, there's no competition. There's no fear. It's like, look, this is the information that's working for me. I go, this is what's working for me. We share ideas. Okay.
Right. Right.
Because it doesn't matter how large you are, you're never going to capture all the business.
Correct.
Right. That's why if you look at the behemoths in the room, the First Americans, the Fidelities, and so on and so forth, they capture and the excess cash these companies make every year is insane. Why do you think they're like they're consuming companies? Fidelity, as an
Right.
example,
Right.
they are consuming companies. They're buying companies. First American bought what Connected Investor for like 200 million. It's a shitty website. In my
Dude,
opinion, if you're on it, you love it, whatever. But
Stuart Title bought PropStream.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Stewart Title.
Yeah.
And Stewart Title sold for $1 billion, and I thought that's what it sold for, and they reversed the sale.
No way.
Yeah, so I read $1 billion, $1
A
billion.
billion
And I'm
dollars,
thinking,
dude.
okay, how long has Stewart been
Title
around?
company, bro.
Dude, it's very, very lucrative. I mean, if you think about all insurance industries, okay,
Mhm.
all insurance lines all
Yep.
together,
Yep.
auto insurance, homeowners insurance, what's the claim rate? You know what the claim rate is on title insurance?
Probably nothing.
It's like less than 3%.
Yeah,
So what does that mean? That means you have a license to print money if you're an underwriter.
that's true. Yeah.
Okay. Think about this. You're insuring it, right? Who insured it before? Another attorney? Another title company? So you're essentially reviewing title. That's what we do, right? We're
Right.
insuring it. Was everything done right? Did that other company do everything right? Because if not, we're going to make a claim against them. Or we can
Mhm.
make a claim against them, as an example, right?
Mm.
So it's a license to print money. It
Right.
really
Right.
is.
Right.
And a goal of mine, I mean, well, not a goal, but I had the thought, I go, what do I have to do so I can become an underwriter?
Yeah. Yeah.
My curiosity. I'm like, what do I have to do that? And I was speaking to somebody, said, is it worth it? You think about that, because underwriters only make a small percentage. They're making a
Right.
small percentage on volume.
Right.
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 So is it worth it? They were like, no, it's not worth it for me. I'm like, yeah, you're also out of your fucking mind, because if this company has like $400 million or $500 million in excess funds, extra money, can you imagine that? Having an extra $300 million at the end of the year, like, oh, all the bills are paid, all the bonuses have been paid, reserves have been paid. We have an extra $300 million. What do we do with this? I know, let's buy some more companies.
Right.
And that's why these tech companies are being, who's the largest aggregator of data? First American, amongst other companies, but First
Oh
American's
yeah.
up there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
They read all this stuff, PropStream, all this shit. Where do you think they get their data from?
Yeah.
It's my stomach going crazy. You guys hear that, by the way?
No, dude, it's crazy, man. And sometimes I do think about like you do have to think about the industry that you're in and what is the path of your industry? Is your business sellable? Is it not? Um, and like scaling to sell.
Well,
That's
think about this also. Let's scale to sell. That's one aspect. But think about the power of that company, that they have so much excess cash that they're buying other companies.
Yeah.
Right. They're adding portfolios of companies to their asset, to the balance sheet, right? So will First American, as an example, will they sell? Probably to private equity company, right? And they'll probably do a big cash out. But if they're not already a private equity company, the underlying, management there, I'm not privy to. I don't really, care. What I care about is what kind of revenue do I need to make to be able to continue to buy other companies? That's where my mentality is at. I heard this thing about like Sir Richard Branson. He has what 400 plus companies in his portfolio of companies. Okay. Right. And I forgot what it was I was listening to, but they said that Dan Martell, came across him on social media. The guy's a rock star. I love everything he puts out so far. Talked about his buddy invited him to Switzerland to go skiing with Sir Richard Branson. And he was like, I get to go skiing with Richard Branson and I get to be able to pick his brain on how this guy operates 400 plus companies. How do you manage that? Right. You're asking me, how do I manage it? I can't wait to be able to manage it the way he does. He has a 60 to 90-minute conversation with his executive assistant. His EA brings him only problems that she can't figure out on her own for 400 companies. He gets a brief, this is what's going on in your 400 companies. Bring me a sheet, bam, bam, bam. What do you need help with? This is how we're going to do this. Have these discussions. He leaves, goes skiing in the fucking Swiss Alps, Switzerland, whatever, and she executes and gives it to the leadership. That to me is incredible.
Yeah.
That to me is a goal. And to me, that sets a standard going, okay, now I heard something. Now I know that this is the way this man does it. There's a lot of work to get there.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? What's the delta? How do I go from here?
Yeah.
How do I go from here, to here? Right. That right there is how I reverse engineer that. The very minimum, it sets a marker going, that's a goal that I want to hit. Do I ever want to retire? I don't ever see myself retiring. If retirement is, I got to do a 60 to 90-minute meeting 5 days a week before I fuck off for the day with my friends. Sure. Let's have a good breakfast.
Yeah.
Let's have a great conversation.
Yeah.
Are we done? Because I got to go parachuting or something, right? I got to go on a motorcycle ride, guys. That to me is awesome. And
Absolutely.
That guy's just been a rock star since, that guy's just a rock star.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And I agree. I think that that's definitely the goal. I love everything that you're about, man. And I think we're like over an hour, man. This is awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think we've just been going at it, man. So I love it. Thanks for doing this, man. If anybody wants to hit you up, title wise, mortgage wise, how can they reach out?
I'd say the best way is to hit me up and let me know what you're looking for, what you need through Instagram, Passive Income Cash Flow Kings, or Facebook, Robert Vazquez. There's a lot of people out there, surprisingly with the same name. Just look for this face. But Instagram or Facebook would probably be best. If you guys need a title help in your state, the state that I do business in, let me know. If you guys aren't in a state and you're looking to either invest or have some kind of a partnership, let me know. We'll reach out, see if there's a fit. And if there's a fit, then there's a potential opportunity that we may open up an office or allow a license to be opened up in your given state or area. We are in rapid growth mode. I can't sell this company for $100 million without your help.
I love it, man. That's awesome, man. All right. Well, everybody who tuned in, thanks again. And if you maybe tuned in a little bit late or you're listening in and you didn't get to hear the whole episode, make sure that you rewatch this from the beginning. It's going to be on our YouTube channel, the Cash Geeks Network, or on my Facebook page. And I will see you guys next week. Happy New Year, everyone. Peace.
Happy New Year's, guys.